Meeting is now streaming live.
Yes, we are live. Welcome, Gene.
Thank you, Rich. Hey, guys, it's New Thought Tuesdays. Have you ever felt torn between your heart's desire and succumbing to the pressures of your ego? I have. Have you ever? That's what we are talking about, the power of connecting to your soul. And today we're going to talk about, we'll clarify what the soul is and how it expresses itself in your human experience. And then we're going to talk about the ego, which
Yeah,
this is our third series, third New Thought Tuesdays in this series. We've talked about the soul previously. We've talked about the ego and what it is. We're going to bring all of that together today. We're going to talk about the ego and the value of the ego. So we're going to talk about realizing the difference between your ego thoughts and your soul's calling, and recognizing that knowing that is essential, and also that the two voices are so different, but they're both valuable. So that's what we're talking about today on New Thought Tuesdays. And here we've got my partner in crime, spiritual crime. No, my partner in crime, Mr. Rich Smith.
hey, how you doing? So you got to determine which voice is which one's your ego, which one's your soul calling you forward.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about that today. I got some stories. You got some stories, Dean?
Well, let's start in on it. The whole thing, the idea of that soul's calling. I had a situation with a wonderful musical ensemble that I was a part of for a couple of years. I was directing this musical ensemble of people that I love. And I discovered in the process that I had to identify there was ego going on. I knew there was ego going on because there were things that Dean was pissed off about and wanted to fix. So I knew, it's like, well, is that ego or is that my soul's calling? Let's think. Ego. Okay, great. So I was able to identify the things that I was pushing against in this creative endeavor. And I really went into prayer for several months on this. There was prayer, there was meditation, there was human actions that I took. Because like I said, I love these people and I really wanted this to, wait for it, work. And what I found is, as I allowed myself to identify that ego voice, and also then be in the quiet moments of my soul's calling, being in the meditative moments of my soul's calling, allowing which was love. There's love coming up. Like I said, I love these people. There was a love for creativity and artistry in musical expression that I also was experiencing. And I was not experiencing that in the musical ensemble to the extent that my soul was calling to.
Yeah,
And, and in that process, with a little bit of gnashing of teeth here and there, I was able to identify the loving path and what was to be done next, what was mine to do. So there was ego happening, there was humanville activity going on, there was a divine desire going on. I really, really wanted this to go, blah, 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 blah. And I got into that quiet place and I allowed my ego's urge to come clear and move into that soul's calling,
yeah,
which was to move into a different direction. I moved out of that ensemble with great love and no gnashing of teeth. There's a little bit of resistance from others to have this move happening, but it was in my best interest. It was in my highest calling. It was my soul's calling. And I've been pursuing what came to me through that experience and moving forward. So that's, and Rich, you were there for all of that. Did I explain that well enough? Was
yeah,
it clear
yeah,
enough? Okay.
yeah, absolutely. And 3 months working through it with prayer and meditation and connecting with your higher power. That's pretty good. Took me 5 years with when I was going through the ego battling, the soul's calling. I've always felt the soul's calling from the very beginning of as far back as I can remember. And I felt at one time it was my soul's calling to reach out to creators in the entertainment business and to teach these principles that I was learning through Agape and through Ernest Holmes and Joel Goldsmith and a lot of the readings I was doing. I was drawn to it. I was called forth by spirit. And I don't know if you guys out there feel that calling right now, but I felt it. And I got the word that I was to be. I wrote a book, 52 Laws and Principles of the Infinite Filmmaker, and I was going to teach from those principles. And then I got all tied up with the ego. I got, Dean, I got tied up with ClickFunnels and marketing and Rainmaker AI and all of this stuff. And it took me 5 years that I spent thousands and thousands of dollars learning how to market. And finally, just recently, I started taking a visioning course. Visioning is really great. We do it in the inner circle a lot too. Visioning is when you go within and you ask spirit what it is that's calling you forth. Not what your ego tells you, but what spirit, your soul is calling you forth to do. And I've been doing that lately, and it just came up. It's not marketing. I hate marketing, and I knew it, and I wasn't listening to that voice. I wasn't listening to my intuition. I was listening to my ego mind saying, you can make a lot of money selling books and all of this stuff. You got to get out there and you got to market, but I hate it, but you got to do it, and you don't have to do it. There's a great book that I'm reading called, excuse me, whoa, The Illusion of Money by Kyle Cease. It's really good because he says why chasing money is stopping you from receiving it. And I believe that and he says in his book that if you're following your soul's calling, the money's going to come. It has to come. So Dean, let's talk about the soul's calling. And
the soul's calling. Well, that's to recap, when we spoke about this in week 1, we talked about the soul's calling and how to identify what it is. And the way that I've most effectively identified that is through meditation. There's been prayer involved, there's visioning involved, there's affirmative prayer involved, and affirmations. But the place that it has really vibrated most for me has been in meditation. So for this practitioner, that's where I go to identify what the soul's calling is. Because even in the human world, with our human conditions, sometimes even those, oh, this feels great, this is terrific, I really want to go in this direction, this is great, is still the ego calling. Calling ego's not always just negative stuff. It's really it's like that energy of I'm going to do this. There's a little bit of forcing energy with the love that I was experiencing. So I find it clearest to go into meditation, and that's where as I expand my awareness and become the observer, that's when the voices start coming. And by voices, I call them angel voices. The idea is, as does my sister Ray, angel voices, the idea of those ideas that come to you in the quiet and peace, that come to you, that have a sense of balance and centered with them. Those ideas, that's what I've identified as my soul's calling.
Yeah, you got to be quiet and peace just to hear that voice. And, a lot of times you can hear it. I know with my visioning that I'm doing now, I hear it in visions. I see the thing unfolding as a vision. You may hear it as a voice. You may hear it as just a feeling of an emotion in your body. I don't feel like I'm moving in the right directions. I had that feeling all that time, though, 5 years that I was working with marketing and stuff. I just had the feeling, I hate doing this, but I wasn't listening to spirit. And spirit has unlimited potential. Our true purpose is to express that divine world, that divine entity of who we are as creatives in the entertainment business. We are spiritual beings living a physical experience. And I always said, by far, the greater part of us is spiritual. And it's that spiritual part that called forth. Are you being called right now to create something of a higher consciousness, something, create maybe films that kind of inspire and enlighten and entertain rather than films that you're making and you don't really want to be doing it, but you're doing it for the money, or for the success of the prestige. That's the ego. But when the voice, when that, we're all called by name, who we are. Infinite intelligence knows us better than we know ourselves. And it calls us forth by according to who we are. What are our talents? What are our desires? What do we feel good about? How do we want to express that inner soul being of who we are? That is already perfect, whole, and complete. And so, yeah, Dean, as you were saying, that it's a it's a feeling tone too that you have to
Well,
be
like you were saying,
be still.
we are spiritual beings with unlimited potential. And so the idea of identifying your soul's calling is going into a place where we recognize that our thoughts create our reality.
Yeah,
Our thoughts create that human condition that we're experiencing, and we manifest our desires and live authentically. This is the part of getting clear about the soul's calling, is living authentically and using the power of affirmative prayer, a power of meditation, that constantly you use the tool and you test it out. You use it out in the world, and if you're coming up and it's like, oh, I hate this, like you were saying, I hate this marketing. Well, when hate seems to be present, it's a pretty, I wonder if this is ego or not. Like you're saying, ego, when we find ourselves in the ego, pull
yeah,
back, give a vision of a bigger perspective.
but ego can be good too, because
Absolutely.
that's what it took me 5 years and spending thousands of dollars to get to this place where I go, aha, maybe I had to get so frustrated with what I was doing that I took this class at Agape called Visioning, but I had to go through that to take the class. You get everything you need exactly when you need it and how you need it,
That's
and
where
through the means that you're able to create it.
that's where we're talking about today, these what are called egoic limitations. I love the word egoic. You're transcending egoic limitations is a big science of mind concept, just transcending these egoic limitations. But limitations can point you in the direction of infinite possibility. When
Yeah.
you're sitting there with an idea of limitation, something that's just pointing your ego, it's a wonderful opportunity to take that egoic idea and say, okay, what is a higher calling for me? What is a higher calling? I'm experiencing and expressing an expression of life that is not what I'm wanting right now. What is it that I'm wanting? Knowing what you don't want is very helpful, to know to point yourself in the direction of what you do want. And that's why the egoic voice is so important. It sets up, oh, well, that's pretty limiting. Is that how is that happening for me? Well, it points me in the direction of something that I prefer, something that I want even more deeply. So that's where
So
we bring in those tools.
yeah, let's talk about the tools, because it took you 3 months to kind of come to a realization of using these tools. It took me 5 years. But let's talk about some of the tools, mindful techniques that we use just to be mindful. To me, it's being mindful of my connection with the infinite power and presence of the universe. Just knowing that I'm connected to God, divine presence, whatever you want to call it, and that it's unlimited and it's not withholding anything from me. And when I go to that space, then everything opens up for me, and things start flowing towards me, and I get the realizations. So while I'm in the ego mind doing all this marketing and thinking to myself, I got to do this, I got to do this, I wasn't using the mindful techniques that help me, which is I don't have to do anything. God's doing it. Infinite intelligence is doing it, and it's doing it in and as and through me. It's not withholding anything. And if I can get to that mindset a lot quicker than wasting all of this time with the ego, it would really benefit me. And it would benefit you guys too. When you come into the inner circle, we're going to talk about these techniques that we use. And you can learn how to use them so that you can break free too of these limitations, these limited thoughts that are keeping you stuck. If you're feeling stuck, you may not be feeling stuck. And like I wasn't feeling stuck, I was feeling discontented.
Yeah.
But if you're feeling stuck, we'll teach you the stuff in the inner circle. What about self-inquiry exercises? We were talking about
Well,
that.
we were talking, and we're going to talk more about this. And I've actually got a list of things for folks in the inner circle. Oh, if you want to be part of the inner circle, the way you do that is you go to newthoughttuesdays.com. You click on I want to be reminded, and we will send you a gentle email, 2 gentle emails with the link of how you can get into the Zoom room. And it's completely private. You respond, you share if you want to. It's completely up to you, but we're going to be talking about things like affirmative journaling. We're even going to talk about mirror work, which kind of talk about spiritual practice that's really in your face. The gratitude, that kind of inner child healing. John Bradshaw wrote a book many years ago about healing that inner child, which I just loved. The shadow work, identifying that which is the dark section of appearances in your life and how to use that. Again, very similar to how you use the ego to point you in a direction of where you are wanting to go. But
Yeah,
those are self-inquiry exercises we always talk about in New Thought Tuesdays. We always
yeah,
talk
yeah,
affirmations, prayer, and reading and study of New Thought ancient wisdom materials, and
yeah,
service others, and beloved community, like the New Thought Tuesdays beloved community,
yeah,
tithing, giving your monetary uh, expression to that which is uplifting you spiritually, journaling, using actually handwriting in your journal, gratitude and forgiveness.
yeah,
Those are the things that we
yeah,
always talk about, and we keep, you keep coming at this from all of the different directions, as we've been doing for years now, Rich, together on New Thought Tuesdays. It just
yeah,
brings, it's like you find yourself in that place, and boom, the ability to embrace a higher calling than that. It becomes something that you more easily and more effortlessly do.
yeah. And so join us, and when you do come in, you're going to find these tools that'll help you deepen your self-awareness of who you are and what your
Yeah.
purpose is in life, why you're here. It's going to cultivate self-love and acceptance within you, and also help you to align with your higher truth, according to who you are
Yeah.
as a spiritual being living a physical experience. And some of the circumstances that you find yourself in, you can break free of these. So you find peace, joy, harmony in your life, and you're doing, what I call God's work, the infinite filmmaker's work, creating the movie of your life. And when you're doing that, you're in alignment with your calling and who you are meant to be, according to your qualities and who you are, your gifts and your talents and all of that. And that's what we all want to express as creatives. So join us in the inner circle. Did we tell them how to get into the inner
We,
circle?
we we did just, I told him just a few seconds ago, and I am going to say thank you to all of you, and I will see you in the inner circle. We've got some fun things in store for you.
Awesome. So we'll see you there. We'll see you next Tuesday too.
Next Tuesday.